Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the movie Carol. In 2015, the romance drama Carol was released. Therese Lesbian, a budding photographer, is employed by Frankenbergs in Manhattan during the 1952 holiday season. She encounters Carol Aird, a beautiful mother looking for a doll for her daughter Rindy. Carol decides to buy a model train set on Therese's advice. Carol leaves her gloves on the desk as she leaves. Using Frankenberg's sales slip, which includes Carol's name and address, Therese ships them to Carol. Therese has mixed feelings about her relationship with Richard, who wants to take her to France in the hopes that they would get married. Therese is invited to visit Danny at the New York Times by a mutual friend, and he offers to put her in touch with a buddy who works as a picture editor. Carol and Harge are going through a challenging divorce at the same time. Therese is invited to lunch by Carol when she contacts Frankenbergs to thank the employee who returned the gloves. Danny kisses Therese during her visit, but she leaves after feeling uneasy. Therese accepts Carol's invitation to her New Jersey home. Therese captures her in the moment as she makes a stop to buy a Christmas tree. Therese raises suspicion in Harge's eyes after learning that Carol had an affair with Therese's friend Abby years earlier. Harge unexpectedly shows up to take Rindy to Florida for Christmas. Therese observes their conflict. Therese is taken to the train station by a distraught Carol after Rindy departs so she may go home. Therese receives a call from Carol apologizing, and they meet at her flat where Carol presents Therese with a suitcase full of gifts, including a Canon camera and film. Carol has learned that Harge has threatened to reveal her homosexuality and obtain full custody of Rindy by asking the judge to adopt a immorality clause against her. She decides to take Therese along on a road trip in order to escape the strain of the divorce procedures. Therese is accused by Richard of having a crush on Carol, and he predicts that Carol will grow weary of her shortly. Their relationship ends after an argument between the two. Therese encounters Tommy Tucker, a traveling salesman, on the second night of the journey. Carol and Therese experience their first kiss and sexual activity on New Year's Eve. They learn the following morning that Tucker is actually a private eye that Harge hired to gather information against Carol. Carol confronts Tucker and holds him at gunpoint while threatening him, but Tucker claims to have already sent Harge tape recordings. Therese and Carol turn around. Therese discovers the following day in Chicago that Carol had flown home to fight for custody of her daughter and had asked Abby to pick her up on the way. She receives a letter from Carol from Abby. Therese calls Carol from her home phone, but Carol hangs up because she is aware that if she keeps seeing Therese, she would lose custody of Rindy. After building a portfolio of her photos, Therese is hired by the New York Times. As part of the terms of the divorce settlement, Carol has been visiting a psychotherapist in the meantime. Carol unexpectedly acknowledges the accuracy of the information on the tapes during a contentious conference with divorce lawyers in the middle of April and refuses to deny her sexuality. She explains to Harge that if he permits her frequent visits, he can obtain custody of Rindy in order to avoid going to court and the possibility of a public scandal. Therese and Carol meet after Carol writes to her in the Ritz Tower Hotel lounge. Carol says that she has moved into an apartment on Madison Avenue and will be working at a furniture store. Therese rejects Carol's offer to move in with her. Therese is informed by Carol that she will be meeting business associates in the Oak Room, but if she changes her mind, they may still have supper. Carol continues while saying, "I love you," to Therese. A co-worker named Jack, who hasn't seen Therese in months, interrupts them, and Carol leaves. Therese agrees to ride along with Jack to a party, but finds she doesn't get along with anyone. To the Oak Room she goes. Carol is seated at a table while she checks the crowd. Therese hesitates before approaching Carol. Their gaze is locked. Carol looks at Therese while grinning gradually. "Thank you,"